Hello and welcome back to the Shonen Dump podcast. I'm your host Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host and good pal Bobby.
Hello, all.
This week we got 14 series to cover, a few series on break. Nonetheless, got some good stuff to cover. And I think we're starting with Sakamoto Days. I like Sakamoto going and being like a teacher to these guys because we talked about it before, but like him and his wife's like disguise, he's like much more emotive. And he feels a lot more human than normal. I mean, he's not like inhuman, but he just has one real emotion he shows.
Yeah, when his mouth is covered by his mustache and his eyes are just kind of like the glasses that like don't let you see his actual eyes, you're just kind of
like he's just bullying with the college boys. I think it's funny. He's just hanging out.
I think it's funny how the people here are like so anti-establishment. Like they're trying to like take down the school. Like the ultimate crime is that it's a monopoly.
I guess in this world, what is it, Slur? That's the other organization.
Yeah, he goes by Slur X. You know,
they're the like counterculture, big group that is trying to hook the youth. I think that's an interesting way to go about it. I guess being just like very inclusive. Though it seems like they just want to be a legitimate organization, but they're bad guys. It's kind of funny. It's a weird take on the evil villain trope.
Well, are these guys even like directly under? I thought they thought like he was just super cool or something, right? Didn't they? Either way, like it is funny that these guys are like trying to rise up against the the system.
Yeah, well, I know they're not a part of it. I'm saying that like they're trying to recruit and scout talent like they're a legitimate organization and not just bad guys.
I just thought it was really funny how it's like this is like this is an illegal industry, right? Like the assassin, like these guys like shouldn't even exist, but they're basically out here like they're trying to root out the evil underbelly of like an evil industry, and it's like you guys are murderers. Like you shouldn't,
Yeah, they're trying to like make it pure and good, like the good old days, but like their problem is that the like 3 or 30% of the pay gets like taken by the organization. The taxation is theft. That's the hill they're gonna die on when they're killing people. It's really funny.
Second half of the chapter though, it was focusing on those other assassins, right?
Yeah. They were performing some sort of hit, and it was kind of like a comedy action scene.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but the one guy, he like just kind of paints the back of the car with their blood when he's killing them to give his driver who's behind the car like a message.
Oh yeah.
But the message is just killing. It's like, I think I know that. I don't think you needed to give me that message. I don't know. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was I just liked how it started, where it's like they're just in the car and they just like forget the other girl who they just like don't even remember. They just forget.
Yeah, no, that was good. They're talking about how she's gonna hold a grudge and stuff. The chapter was really good. I wasn't a big fan of like the starting. Let's go to the school. But now I'm on board.
Yeah, it's definitely taken places I didn't expect. The disguise is gonna be running out soon though, so we'll see. I'd imagine Sakamoto's just not gonna remember. Like I don't expect there to be a warning or anything that pops up. Like I would imagine it just happens. But
yeah, I think he's just gonna be sitting there teaching the class, and his whole gut's gonna come hanging out, and he'll have to flee or something. I don't know. Undead Unluck. The fight's officially over.
Fight's over? Question mark. Yeah, I mean Fuko's back now, so
all they had to do was put her ghost in her body, and she's back. I did not know that Nico had a daughter, and if I did know that, I completely forgot.
Yeah, I just remember. I mean, her name is Miko, so it's like
I saw Miko show up, and I was like, "What? Who is that character?"
She's been around. I mean, I remember she's been around. She's been like but she hasn't been particularly too important. You might have honestly like mixed up Nico and Miko.
It's very possible. They look very similar.
Their names are similar. They look similar. Like that's all resolved now. I guess we maybe are going to the arc. I do like Fuko like coming out and like instead of being like all happy like you'd imagine, or no, she's like very sad because she like experienced basically everything that happened up until now, and she's like, why does everyone have to die?
She's questioning whether or not she should be the one to go as well. She's trying to like say, hey, other people are probably better at this. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty reasonable and consistent with her character at this point. She's kind of not confident in herself no matter how much she's practicing. So
Yeah, but Titania comes in like, I believe in you. Power of friendship, you can do it. So hopefully she gets to
there's also that scene earlier where all the ghosts of the previous scientists appear in front of Nico, like say like, hey, good job, buddy. You did it. I'm glad Nico didn't die a bad guy, because I legit did not see him turning into a bad guy coming at all.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought it was a little suspicious how they like don't tell us what his negator power is. I assume maybe they're waiting for some opportune moment to, maybe he's like the one who saves the day at some point, like you just don't expect it, but it was the opposite. So I mean, yeah, but that's all resolved now. I guess we're gearing up for like the last arc, question mark.
Yeah, it's probably the end. I think there's not much more to do other than just go back in time and fix everything, unless they really mess up, and then we have we have to go through time one more time.
Yeah, I feel like that's not gonna I feel like that would just be like,
could you imagine
a slap
just, like,
in the face,
retreading, like, all right, one more time, and they make it to the end again?
I mean, we're just gonna start from Fuko being born, right? We're just gonna get her entire childhood now.
Yeah, no, I think this chapter was really pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right.
It still had the old Undead Unluck charm of just saying words that I don't think mean too much, but having a lot of weight behind them. But I enjoyed it. I think it was pretty good.
Blue Box, Taishi and Shinatsu just coming back from where we left off last week, and then we go. They're just saying words to each other. Taiki's like a little like embarrassed about the whole like kissing thing with Hina. There's a little bit of a tension there, and Shinatsu can feel it. But I think what's really interesting when he goes back to the gym,
when he like interacted with the guy he beat in the match, and then we see his upperclassman. I forget his name right now.
Haru, yeah,
Haru lost to him.
Yeah, see, this is interesting, because now it's like, is Taiki the best one on the team now? Yusa even went as far as to, there was that page where he was asking Taiki about the kanji for his name, and so clearly Yusa's like, I gotta keep you on the radar, and Haru looked really disparaged.
Yeah, no, he seemed pretty pissed, and I imagine that's gonna be a kind of like conflict, probably minor, not anything important, between the two of them going forward, because Haru pretty much up until this point has been kind of, I mean, he's been helpful to Taiki, but he's been kind of like rubbing it in his face that he's better than him. At least that's what I feel. So I imagine that this might be a big blow to the ego.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see like if the dynamic between them will start to change a bit. That'll be pretty interesting for me.
It's kind of weird to see, going really quickly back to their Shinatsu and Taiki's conversation. It seems like he's developing genuine feelings for Hina at this point, because at the start of the series, Taiki and Shinatsu were like, he could barely talk to her, right? And he would always get blushy and stuff. But now it feels like he can talk to her just fine, and Hina's the one that he's having trouble like even thinking about. And I mean, she's giving him lots of reasons to feel that way. She's like definitely coming on very strong, being like, hey, these are my feelings for you, making him only think about that. But yeah, no, I think it's kind of interesting to kind of like swap.
Yeah, and then like going into the end of the dream too, it was just kind of like when Taiki's dreaming, like when he's back home, basically the events of what just happened transpire again. It's just a little more exaggerated. Taiki beats Yusa, and Shinatsu's there with the giant Pokari trophy, and I'm like, oh my. And then they're about to kiss, but then at the end of the dream, Hina comes and takes Taiki away, and I'm like, oh. So Taiki wakes up like basically screaming, and he's like, what the heck, dude? And so I guess it's like that's how he's kind of feeling, like going into what you were saying about maybe he's developing actual feelings. Like, I don't know. I'm sure he's a little confused right now. He's not 100% sure what he wants. But definitely we will need to see how this gets resolved, because, you know.
I think that the resolution of this whole conflict is going to be just, he ends up with Chinatsu, but, I think we've been hinted at in the past that Taiki's like friend, I forget his name, kind of glasses quiet
Yeah.
one. I think he's like attracted to Hina. I'm pretty sure that's very clear. So I imagine that's going to be like the end relationship. But I guess we'll just have to wait for that. I don't think it's going to be too surprising how it ends, but we'll see.
Yeah, in the immediate, I'm again just trying to see how Haru is gonna react to Taichi being better than him at badminton now.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the more interesting of the two stories.
As of right now.
Yeah,
now.
right.
Because it's a little, the other one's a little bit nebulous. So
Blue Exorcist, finally a chapter that's longer than 15 pages.
yeah, we finally have like a normal length chapter after all of this time.
It was just more fighting though. It wasn't a lot of dialogue, so it did go pretty quick nonetheless. But Lightning was in it, and we both like him, so that's always a bonus.
Yeah, I mean the one Arknight guy, he like punched the floor and like big explosion, but Satan, obviously you can't just one shot him, so he's coming back, he's regenerating. I actually thought what he said was pretty interesting. We kind of like get a glimpse into like his like personal philosophy about why he hates humans, and how like humanity is basically just a bunch of people who fight against their own human nature. And so he like finds that like really hypocritical, that like denounce ourselves being demonic, even though we kind of are, going into the guy at the end who like turns like half demon or whatever.
That was kind of, I mean, I know it was to get across that point of people are evil by nature or whatever. Seeing that in the middle of the chapter, I read it when I like first woke up, and so I saw it and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was a little thrown in there. It was a little random. It did get like kind of get the point across though.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there were probably better ways to go about it, but I'm not about to offer up a solution. It just felt a little weird.
Yeah. I think that if it was a little like heavy-handed, a little like ham-fisted.
I want to just see all our boys. Oh, I appreciate this great war and all the moving parts in it, but I want to see all the people we've been following doing stuff. I kind of miss them.
We got like a glimpse of them like last chapter, but again, that was like half of a normal chapter. So that's like, does this really count? I don't know, but
yeah, not sure. Probably not. Aliens area. I guess we're saving a princess now.
Yeah, we're saving a princess who reminds the main character of their sibling, and now we have the greatest alien of whatever. I don't know if this guy's gonna be recurring. I don't know if he's like just a one-off. I don't know. His design's kind of cool, so it'd be kind of a shame if he was like just a one-off. But
it's really funny because like this guy's built up by words in this chapter to be like amazing, to be like one of the best guys. But if he gets dispatched like right here, I don't know, that kind of takes away a lot of the stakes. If like this was the big bad,
yeah,
I mean, there probably would be stronger guys ahead of him, but it feels like if this is the next arc and not just kind of like a 1 to 2 chapter kind of thing, it takes a lot of the tension away if that's the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I remember there was some line where I already felt like this guy's like not that impressive. And it was like when he was saying like only 1 in 100 could dodge that move. And I was like, 1 in 100? And I really started thinking about it, and I was just like, is that really that like impressive? 1 in 100? Because obviously like, 1% chance, but there's way more like than 100 people out there, So I'm just kind of like, maybe he means like 1 in 100 like aliens could dodge it, not 1 in 100 people like humans, I guess. But like even still, like I don't know, like the number, it just didn't seem like special to me. I guess I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's just words.
Right. I saw that too, and I actually also got the same vibe. I was like, first off, there's more than like 7 billion people in the world, but then if you count the fact that aliens exist as well, there's probably like almost an infinite number of
Yeah, like
of
I don't
creatures
know.
out there.
Like the unit just doesn't make any sense. Like it's just like 1 in 100. Like 1 in 100 what? Like what are you talking about? Like anyone? Like that a baby could dodge you?
Yo, every 1 in 100 babies could just roll out of the way, dude.
It's so true.
You never know.
So true. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, this guy like he showed up. I'm not too enthused. You know, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, he looks cool. That's about it. It seems like he has like similar tech to what they have. So I'm just kind of like, okay, is it special? Yeah, like Alien Butler is just Krillin function. Like we're just, I'm just okay. Words are
It
coming at me.
it's really unfortunate because like I read the first chapter of this series and I was like, oh, this is pretty good, but then subsequent chapters, I less and less interested.
Yeah, it's the characters just seem to be taking like more of a backseat to like the world mechanics and like introducing like new characters and stuff. So I'm just kind of like, my investment's pretty low. I'm not because the initial impression matters a lot for like especially early chapters like this when we're introducing like new villains and stuff. And so it's just kind of like I don't know. There's not much to be enthused about. I don't really get why I should care. One Punch Man.
I freaking called it.
Let the people know. Remind them what you said.
So we were talking about we think some heroes are gonna die. You thought that Bang was gonna die, Silver Fang. I also think that's still possible. But I threw it out there that maybe Genos was gonna get messed up. I didn't want that to happen, but I was right. So there's a point for me. The fight with Garo continues. Awakened Garo Galaxy Man. We get Blast and Bang here to the double Bs to take on Garo. And it's not looking great. Genos throws himself in there and gets just messed up.
Yeah, definitely he got wrecked. I do find it interesting how like this like galaxy face like Garo still kind of has a soft spot for that kid. Like he had that internal dialogue or internal monologue about how this is the best for him, you know? And so I was just kind of like, whoa, so I guess he's not as dehumanized as maybe we thought he got portrayed as in the previous chapter. Kind of interesting. I mean, Saitama is already back, and this time he's throwing serious punches.
Yeah, that panel of first off Genos getting his chest punched through.
Oh yeah, that was brutal.
Leading into like a black page and then like what looks like blood or some sort of just dark rain falling from the sky, and then just his like that double page spread. Genos lying on the ground, Blast in the back, Garo, and then Saitama's like back facing the camera with just this dark rain falling, and then it cuts to like a close up of Saitama with what looks like blood all over him, looking really pissed. That was just so sick.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, if it was Genos, he just got his gut punched out. Maybe it's oil. The way it looks is insane.
He tosses Genos's like core, which is basically like his heart, and Saitama catches it, and it just. Oh.
it was really cool. It was so sick.
And then the flashback to when they were going to take on that, like, I believe it was the evil scientist guy who made all those abominations, those like animal. They're running to that, and it's just like, you're always on time even though you're just on foot. You truly are a hero. No, I tend to arrive too late. It's like that. Who like would have thought that like kind of gag will be brought back for like something super serious, like probably like 100 chapters later. That's just nuts.
I think it's cool like when they do callbacks like that, because like it adds the weight, it just it's just like Saitama knows this about himself. Now he has a reason to beat himself up about it, and now he's just angry. I don't think we've ever seen him like this emotionally torn, right?
Yeah, no, and he's never like had to actually seriously try as well and be invested in a fight like this before. you know? So
Yeah.
this is like pretty much the first time we're seeing like him make an effort.
And then Blast is just at the very end freaking out, like, oh no, the like impact of their punches, it'll like blow up the planet, you know?
Yeah, I wonder what he's probably gonna send them into another dimension, if I had to guess, for them to
Yeah.
fight there.
Yeah, I would imagine that's probably what's gonna happen too. That was a really excellent chapter of One Punch Man. Doron Dororon, we're just getting the big guy. He's like showing off.
This guy, I realize what I missed. I didn't realize it last chapter when this guy was like properly introduced. This guy is just the clap guy from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Like his design?
Kind of, but his character's kind of the same too.
Yeah, he's just all smiles and he's like rambunctious.
And like I'm the tough guy, I'm rambunctious. Yeah, like it's kind of eerily the same. Like I was like getting a vibe last chapter, and like this whole chapter I couldn't like figure it out, and I was like, oh, we've seen this guy before in something else. I think it's significantly worse done here than it was in Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's fine.
Yeah, because the introduction to all the characters last time was just kind of like a page each, and it was just like, oh, okay. He's just gonna be a jobber, I feel like, you know, he's just gonna lose, and they're gonna get the word, and they're gonna be like, oh, he lost?
Yeah, they brought in some new villains to fight. They look really stupid. I like the dartboard guy, though.
He was arguably the dumbest looking one.
That guy's awesome. I hope he's the best one.
He looks so dumb that he like just turns around to being kind of cool.
Yeah,
he's unique. He's definitely unique, at least. Like that guy on the bottom right, so forgettable. I wouldn't remember him. Like
pretty much the other three are all very forgettable.
Yeah, the top left one is like unique in that it looks like a literal background character and not someone we should be worried about.
Dartboard guy, he looks sick. I hope that he's not a joke. I mean, I hope he's a joke, but I also hope that he can hold his own.
You hope he's like a joke who's like also the strongest.
Yeah, exactly. This chapter was very funny in the way that at the start of it, they were like, this guy's the best. He's going to have an easy time. There's no way he's going to lose. And I was like, after I read that, I was like, so this is the chapter where he loses.
Yeah, it was actually really ironic because when that one skeleton guy was like, ooh, you're gonna fight with invisible strength, because like he's talking about, oh, Mr. Tsukahara taught me that I need to fight with my heart, and I'm like, okay, that's like literally every shonen ever. The skeleton guy is just like, ooh, that's so new, I feel refreshed, and I'm like, ironically, I'm just kind of like, I'm not.
Relying on tropiness of this series is very heavy. There's a lot of tropes, and I mean, that's not necessarily a problem, but it's not doing anything special with any of them.
Yeah, it's not doing like too much to really stand out in my eyes. It's just kind of doing the bare minimum.
Akane Banashi.
I thought this was pretty cool. I really like this chapter.
I like this character. I think he's the long-haired dude. He's a stand-up comedian, but he's doing it through Rakugo, I guess. He wants to be taken more seriously. His version of Rakugo is, I guess, I expected a little too much. I still like it, but it's just taking the stories and changing the words slightly so that they fit a modern day approach. So I mean that's fine. I just, the way they were like kind of hyping it up made me expect just like, I don't know, something else.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was still pretty cool. Like, I thought it was, like, very interesting. And, like, because they even said, like, he's not really that much better than anyone else, but because he manipulates the stories in an interesting way, you know? It's, like, very cool.
You know, it's I understand the coolness of this in particular, his way of doing it. It's just that I, like, projected something different.
You, like, maybe expected something a little more, like, dark
bombastic.
Or sinister.
Oh, I was thinking bombastic. I didn't think it would just be like, okay, this the stories, but for a modern day. Like, that makes sense why that would be appealing to people, and I can understand why he would be seen as kind of a front runner here. However, I just, in my mind, he was going to do something crazy that was just going to be nuts.
That's fair.
And I don't know.
That's fair. I did like how they specifically chose a story that we had already experienced, like in the past of this series, so that we as the audience can kind of catch on our own before like they try to explain it to us. So
yeah, we were basically Akane's teacher. I also caught on that. which is like, this does sound familiar. It was pretty. I think that was probably a genius play.
Yeah.
By the author of the series. So it was really good. We're able to kind of relate to it and be a part of like people who would get the joke. Like everyone in this audience probably already knows all of these stories, so like it feels like we're also one of them. You know what I mean? In that moment.
Yeah, really cool. And I thought the whole BM thing was kind of funny because I was the whole time when I was reading, I was like, what do they mean by BM? And when we finally get the bowel movement, I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
That was good stuff. With this guy, he got the criticism from the big bad guy. You kind of were correct in your assumption that he would not like it, but he would kind of mince his words a little bit so that it wouldn't be seen as bad.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely gave the probably a pretty legitimate thing to say though, because his goal right now we know is to kind of revitalize Rakugo into a younger generation, and this guy might be the perfect candidate for that type of thing by making his stories more contemporary versions of classic tales.
I think he's going to be an interesting rival for Akane.
Yeah, I like the way that they kind of showed that too symbolically with the whole like DJ mix setup. I thought that was like really interesting. I like that.
Oh yeah, the when it cuts to like taking a modern classic and remixing them. That was sick. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Overall, really good chapter.
It was very solid.
This is such a good series.
I'm definitely curious to see what this girl does though, because I don't know. I mean, if she's a voice actor, I'd imagine it's the way she speaks is gonna be like particularly special or something like that. But
probably the characters' voices, you'll be able to like distinguish them not just by her visual way she's acting, but by her voice as well will probably be different, significantly more so than like the rest of them.
Yeah, I would imagine it's gonna be along those lines too. So we'll see how like the audience reacts, and especially what Isho says, because he's the head judge. So curious to see how that's gonna be taken.
My Hero Academia, finally a good chapter.
Finally, we're somewhere else.
I like this chapter a whole lot, and yes, it's probably because I'm incredibly biased to Bakugo being my favorite character. But it was like 12 pages or something. So
yeah, it was really
a good
short
chapter, but it was like nothing.
Yeah, I also wasn't really sure how I felt about what Shigaraki was saying. The whole like there are massive disparities to give rise to incomprehension, and because of that it leads to dread and rejection, and I'm like, okay.
None of that stuff is even remotely interesting to me. The stuff that he was saying that whole time, I did not care about anything he was saying. I just was like, Bakugo's freaking doing stuff, dude. That's what I was looking at the whole time. Was just being like, he's got like 6 cannons on his back. That's awesome. I literally was. I like don't remember a single thing he's saying. I'm only like rereading it now. Yeah, oh yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. Who cares? None of it's important. Literally, none of it will matter. All I know is that we got our boy doing cool stuff.
We got the boy. Great explosion, murder gun, dynamite.
Yeah, no, it's so sick. The art is always great with Horikoshi, but I think that seeing just a character like Bakugo, who went from just like class bully to cool guy, just doing good stuff now is really, really sick.
This will be like his, if he does win here, this is like his first win against a villain ever.
This is like his moment, and he's probably not going to succeed because he's fighting the final boss.
I do think I like Bakugo specifically because his approach is way more straightforward than everyone else. He doesn't divulge in what Shigaraki's saying. Like, Shigaraki, to me, what he was saying, I don't think it's that good. I think it's kind of BS, to be honest. Like, it's just so vague. I don't really know what exactly he means or what he's talking about. But I like how Bakugo just comes in and he's like, yeah, you say all that stuff, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna do better, okay? I'll beat you up. And he's trying.
Bakugo is the best character because he First off, he's the only main character who doesn't monologue for like 6 pages about something that ultimately means nothing. He just wants to be the good guy and the bad guy to be dead. So that, like, you can feel whatever way about how he was at the beginning of the story, whatever. He is the best character in this series by far.
Yeah, I mean, he's like not only the most like he's not only the one who progresses the plot the most smoothly, he's also just the most well-developed character like in the series. So it's it's hard to hate Bakugo. He's, to me, very clearly like the best character.
Me and Roboco knocking it out of the park again.
Okay, so first of all, this like amusement park chapter, Roboco is gonna get smoked, dude.
Are you sure? Did you
mean,
see her
not
catch
really.
the bullet between her teeth?
Okay,
dude?
so first of all, before we even knew about any of that, can I just say I think the Madoka gag where her face just transforms is like the funniest thing. Like her on the roller coaster, I thought was the funniest thing. But second of all, the panel where Roboco had the bullet in her teeth was terrifying. It was awesome.
She's a freaking horror monster, dude. She's terrifying. There's several. This is pretty much, by the way, just ripped off of a chapter in Sakamoto Days,
which they also
they reference in this, like, I'm doing this like Sakamoto, but this is quite completely like bit for bit, story beat for beat, just completely a Sakamoto Days chapter. The way it ends too, like with her fist, like I think this is just a parody chapter of a Sakamoto Days chapter.
So, but it gets a little insane though, because the last guy is like quote unquote not as weak as the others, but we're getting a continued chapter. Like, this is not common in Me and Roboco for a chapter to be more of a serialized story.
I didn't think about that. That's funny.
Yeah, like it's really episodic normally, right? But now we are
pretty much only episodic.
Yeah. So now we're getting like a chapter that's like going into something else, and so like when I was reading this, I was just kind of like, "Hey, yo, is this plot? What is going on?"
It's definitely not. It's definitely just a joke. But I think, you know what would be hilarious? If the next chapter was just like a new slice, like...
No, they can't do that. They can't do that, dude. No.
Just ignore that. I think that would be hilarious.
It would be... I think that would be funny if they like go to the next chapter and they flashback for a page like, oh yeah, that guy was like nothing. I'm like, what? But, I mean, regardless, apparently these Ember guys... There's like some sort of like looming threat in the background at the very least.
Yeah, I guess. I definitely don't think it's gonna mean anything. I think this was legit just a Sakamoto Days parody. But I think that it was done very well. I would love if this just continued that, doing parody chapters forever. I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah, I'd be definitely down for like the fight to just be like a clown fest. You know, if it's a clown fiesta, like, I'm totally down for that. But I just found it really interesting. I was just like, whoa, part 2 of a chapter? And Me and Roboco? Is this real?
It's unheard of. They're breaking new ground. Between Mashle and Me and Roboco, like, Mashle, they were both comedy series where Mashle took a more serious route. If out of the two of them, I think Me and Roboco could do a serious plot way better than Mashle. I think I would take it more seriously. Seeing like this, I think, because it would still do gags. They both still do gags, but like, I think just Me and Roboco has the better setup.
Yeah, I think Me and Roboco 2 has also shown its capability to be a lot more heartfelt. You know, it's really able to tug at your heartstrings a lot more effectively than Mashle has shown it able to be. So I definitely think that there is like an avenue where Me and Roboco could flex kind of a little bit, being a little more serious.
Just pull a Gintama and suddenly do something super duper serious out of nowhere.
I mean, it could. Gintama is legendary for doing that, so I wouldn't be too surprised if Me and Roboco could do that too.
Speaking of Mashle, though, this chapter was fine. It's kind of all the same.
Yeah, I
that
mean, it
we've
was like
been.
a more comedic chapter, which I appreciated.
We
But
got to see the Mash's siblings, I guess,
yeah,
uh,
they're
being
psychotic.
psycho evil people. The end of the chapter did something kind of crazy I didn't expect. Mashal wasn't shown to be having a key turned on his back.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
That's 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 incredible. That's literally one of the biggest plot twists I've seen in the
Yeah, no,
series so
maybe like the best chapter this week for that exact reason, honestly.
far. It's fine. It's a fine chapter. I don't know. I don't really have much in my brain to say about the series right now, especially this chapter. I just want Mash to get up and do something.
I don't know if you saw, Mashle actually got confirmed for an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
based on what they, because there are some people who are translating what they were saying, and you can't be too sure with these translations. People are insane and will do anything for clickbait. But someone was saying that there was a translation of some article saying that the anime was adapting Mashle in its entirety. So, is this the last? Is this like the end game for Mashle?
Wait. The anime's gonna cover 110 chapters. Like,
That's what I was reading. Like I said, you can't trust these translations too much.
I mean, the
But
early stuff. The early stuff is like almost nothing. It's just kind of small comedy jokes. Like, I could see a world where they just kind of speed through all the gags and get right to the serious stuff. But that makes me think all it is going to be the serious stuff, and that'll suck. That would
I
be
mean,
terrible.
I don't know, man. Like if they have the whole thing to adapt, I wouldn't be too surprised if they just kind of do everything normally. So, like, I don't know if they're gonna speed through anything in particular, because I think that the beginning is the part that like hooks most people anyway.
I just couldn't see them fitting into at most a generous 24 episodes. Let's say they get 24 full episodes. I don't think you could fit 100 something chapters into that space.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, there's been a lot of like series that specifically more so in the past than more recently. There's been a lot of series that have just kind of gone on weekly. Like One Piece is that way. It just runs simultaneously with the manga at this point. Like stuff like Naruto have been like that. Like I know it's particularly pretty large series kind of get that treatment. And more recently, they've been doing season by season by season to avoid filler and burnout and whatnot. But I mean, if Mashle's like all done, then I mean, I don't see why they can't just keep going until it's over.
I guess I just if they're adapting all of it in one anime, I would expect it to not be concurrent because I haven't really seen that happen lately, aside from One Piece. So, okay,
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I guess literally speculating on it is kind of pointless right now. But
Yeah,
cool.
we'll see what happens in the future, but
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Dandadan,
it's a good chapter. I liked it a lot.
it's like a transition chapter to like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't even really know what we're transition like the new golden ball, right?
Yes,
So
Juju is Gigi whatever is turning
Gigi's
into
he's
the
like
evil
living.
eye.
Yeah, he's living with the evil eye now.
I think it's really funny that literally there's nothing hot that they could give him. He's just continuously eating and drinking cold stuff.
Yeah.
There's no options that exist that are hot. So
I think
he's
it's
just
really
stuck.
funny how little dexterity the evil eye mode has, where it's just fists. Like it can't make any other hand position or anything. It's just it's just I don't know, man. It's just
Oh, with
really
the
funny.
chopsticks?
With the chopsticks, like trying to write in the notebook, like everything. It's just they can only use their fists. They can't do anything else. I just thought it was funny.
It is really funny. I like the stuff with the evil eye was very funny, and now we've got the golden ball part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okarin can maybe get his genitalia back.
That would be pretty cool. Finally.
Literally 60 something chapters. He might get his balls back.
And he probably will lose something else in the process. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it was an in-between chapter, basically. I like how they show us what Gigi is like now living with the evil eye. I really thought the joke was funny where ISA is talking to her friends. And they're like, what's up with Gigi? He's kind of weird. And it's like, oh no, he's just his new like thing. You know, that's just what he's doing now. He's trying
It's
to
his
change
bit.
his image. Yeah.
He's doing a bit. He wants to kill everyone.
But you know, pretty good chapter.
Art's amazing as always.
Yep.
I like he looks like his body type looks completely different when he's in the
Yeah, he's a
evil
little
eye form.
huskier. He's a little more.
Yeah. I like he sprints to play soccer and just kicks it into someone's face. That's really funny. Just good stuff all around, and it never disappoints.
Very good, very good.
Super smartphone. This chapter had a lot of words. For once, I didn't really mind. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was a good chapter too. I did definitely feel quite a bit of fatigue getting through the chapter, but I think that the words were not like necessarily wasted. So I thought it was pretty good.
You know me. I have about 4 brain cells, and I definitely like when I turned to the like first page that wasn't the police stuff, and I saw just probably like 9 billion words. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
And then it stayed consistently like that the whole time. It was a little daunting, but I enjoyed it. I thought that they were also pretty necessary for what they were trying to say, and I think that the plot of everyone trying to find out who each other is really good. I like that he's going out of his way to find the key.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like the diagram that they did again this week. I don't like how difficult it is to read, but I mean, I read it and I get it. It's just like I just there has to be a better way to do this, right? But I don't know.
The diagram. I definitely read that. I definitely didn't just read the text and skip to the next page.
It's just I understand it. I actually thought like mid chapter while reading, I was kind of sussed out. I was really like there's a lot of logical leaping that's going on right now where it's like, oh, he's looking at the pachinko parlor and it just happens that this is like actually the place, this is actually the Mora guy, like blah 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 blah. And I was just kind of like, this is kind of convenient, you know, because there's other ways to make money off of a super smartphone than just playing pachinko. And so I was just kind of like maybe that's like the first thing you think of, but like that's also like, I don't know, that was kind of weird. But then when you get to the end and you find out that Zen made it like he expected it to be as obvious as it was on purpose, I was like, okay. Because at first I was like, isn't this a little like too easy? And the point is that it is too easy. So I'm, you know, I made up for it. My brain, I was like getting like kind of whiplashed in like a good way. I was like, whoa, okay, so they are this smart. The authors, like, they are this smart. They know. And you know, it's stuff like that I think like really is instilling like a really strong amount of trust and like where the author is taking the series. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think that he's got a good sense of like where to go with this plot. It feels like he's got this kind of all planned out ahead of time. It's definitely not, at least if it is, he's very impressive, but it's definitely not like week to week he's winging it. You know what I mean? I think he's got like A to B, B to C planned out, and I think it shows. I think it's very well done.
Yeah, definitely a really smart choice for Q to message Seomizu through her subordinate. Definitely a really good play there. I was wondering about how that was going to get resolved, so we see now, you know, that's a really good way to go about it. So, especially now that the police force has basically unlimited authority over the case. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see, because now that kind of opens things up a little bit more.
Who gave them complete authority? Who was it at the beginning? Like, who gave them that? The police chief or something?
I guess it's just the chief, because it doesn't seem like it's the absolute top of like the chain. Because they were saying, oh, if anything comes up, you know, we'll sweep it under the rug. So I'm guessing there is a superior over them. So maybe it's like the department chief, or like maybe it's someone political.
They said something like keep casualties to a minimum. I was like, huh?
Yeah, there might be some crooked crops and dude. Crooked crops. There might be some crooked cops in this crew, so talking's hard.
I'm sorry. I really like that one. Yeah, no, I think that the police definitely have some shadiness going on, but I don't think they're really going to be explored as the bad guys pretty much at all, unless one of the police in the police department is a smartphone user.
Yeah, probably.
I think it'll end up being just standard. Now, my question: if they catch T, will the smartphone disappear, or will it be just transferred to whoever takes it next, kind of like a Death Note kind of situation?
I would imagine it just gets transferred, but it does seem like the super smartphones are not of this world, because they were showing, there was a lot shown in this chapter. There's a little bit of everything, I think, because they were showing how the mechanics of the smartphone just are physically impossible. Like the battery is like 2 milliamps, which is like, if you don't know just like tech stuff, they kind of did a good job of explaining it. Like a 4,000 milliamp hour battery can't even last 2 days in a normal smartphone. Pretty accurate metric. But it's just kind of like, so how does it get powered? You know, who created these? You know, the lore of the super smartphones. Like, I'm pretty interested. And I think that's part of why this chapter is really good too, because it really does kind of tickle every single mystery that existed.
Yeah, the charging of it just taking like 2 seconds is very funny as well.
Yeah.
I definitely, what you were talking about a few chapters ago, get the feeling that this thing is a little more personable than an AI would be.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very strange. I'm there's so many mysteries in this that it's kind of crazy. It's kind of overwhelming at times, but I wanna know all of them.
It's very interesting. I am definitely very invested in this series at this point, for sure.
Ruri Dragon.
I personally really enjoyed this chapter.
Me too. I'm surprised to admit it, but I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, like Ruri has like this deep social anxiety, and she's slowly learning to overcome it. You know, go to Starbucks with the girls.
Like at this point, with the fact that everyone already knows that she's a dragon, she's been gone. If they want to accept it now, like that makes sense to my brain. In the moment back then, it was like, what the hell is this? But now that they're kind of, you know,
adjusted,
I'm like, okay, fine, I'll adjust too. I do like that, you know, everyone else is cool with it, but the barista's like, the hell's that? That was fine. You know, I suspect Ponytail Girl is also not completely human.
I saw she has like the little hair clip. That was like,
Yeah, little like fire demon guy hair clip. I was like, I sense foreshadowing here.
Might be an Oni or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
There's that guy who's like missing from the classroom too. It could end up being that they're all actually just weirdos, you know?
That would make me feel less weird about it being like them being so nonchalant about it if they were all freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd be like, okay, fine. You all have this similar secret, so it's fine. Again, really like this chapter. Surprised too. It's getting better and better from chapter to chapter. So for me, not to say that it was bad before, but for me, it was definitely strange, and now I am on board.
Yeah, it was like off-putting, and now you're more used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the whole story arc of, you know, social anxiety, but she kind of gets a push. Ruri gets a kind of a push to do something, and she's like, oh, you know what? This is not so bad. This is actually great, you know. And I thought the selfie at the end with her new friends was like pretty cute. Very, very wholesome chapter.
Yeah, it was pretty cute. The way you described it earlier, the like softness of everything, it definitely feels like just relaxing to read sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's a really, really like nonchalant, down to earth, like it's a very soothing kind of read. Everything is really like fluffy feeling. Like the whiteness to the pages is utilized extremely well. Like in a lot of other series where things are more serious, I think I would criticize it for being a little under detailed, but in a series like this, it really helps to establish the atmosphere.
Yeah, a seal of approval for me. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Shonen Dump podcast. A lot to say, most of it positive. We got next week is next week the return of One Piece, or is it the week after?
It should be the week after or something like that. I'm pretty sure because it's like a 4-week break or something, right?
I think so. Regardless, One Piece and Black Clover should be returning soon. We'll start covering Black Clover when it does. Bobby is making his way through. Yeah, we hope you join us next week when we cover all the ones that come out then. Peace out, guys.
See ya.